I have downloaded Football Manager 2017 and I have simulated all the way through to this Euros that we are currently watching, or you have just finished watching right now, Euro 2020. Of course, it would have been last year because of COVID. Let's see how well Football Manager 2017 predicted the 2020 Euros. Yes, I thought this is quite a good version of Football Manager to do this because Portugal have just won the Euros in 2016, so the next game, 2017, would be basically simulating those 4 years in between. Also, things that happened in 2016 was Leicester winning the Premier League, Real Madrid have just won the Champions League, and Gareth Southgate had just become the England manager. So, is he still there? Well, let's take a trip to the very start of the Euros when all the teams have been selected. Yes, I bring you back on the 1st of June 2020, just before these Euros were about to kick off. Obviously, no COVID-19, so maybe this was a happier place in the world. And we can see this is the group stages. I'm not quite sure whether they had the same format where 3 teams go through, like actually embedded into the database of this game. I guess we'll find out once I simulate it. But we can see some of the teams in here, and it's very different, of course. We have Ireland, some of the home nations. We have Republic of Ireland in there. We have Northern Ireland, Scotland, and down the bottom we have England in a very tough group with Holland, Hungary and Poland. So that means no Wales, unfortunately, but the rest of the home nations are in there. So let's take a look at them one by one. Well, first off, with Republic of Ireland, you can have a quick scan there, maybe even save. I mean, Nathan Redmond being not English anymore, or Patrick Bamford, both picking the Republic of Ireland there. That's obviously standout ones, which is quite surprising. Here is the Northern Ireland squad for you to scan and have a look at. And the Scottish national team. And of course, at this point, was Ryan Gold any good? He's not too bad, to be honest. He's at Sporting Lisbon right there. But there is the Scottish team. There's one more team to check. It is, of course, England. Now, first things first, Gareth Southgate is still in charge of England. We'll have a look to see how the World Cup got on before the Euros start, and let's take a look at this senior squad. So, before we go any further, Joe Hart, Michael Keane, these are all players back in 2016-17 who were looking like they were going to be in the England team for a long time. A few names, obviously, that are still in there. John Stones, Luke Shaw. But we go down, Marcus Rashford's in the team right now, but so many of these names. Jordan Henderson, Carl Walker, Harry Kane, that is it. So these are the only 6 players that I have highlighted on the screen here which have actually made it into the actual Euros compared to this simulation. I think that is quite impressive. Of course, there are some players who we didn't quite know would be as good as what they possibly would be back in 2016-17. So let's see where they are right now. Phil Foden is on the game. He's nowhere near as good as what he is at 20 years of age in this iteration of Football Manager. Mason Mount applies his trade in the Norwich under-23s, unfortunately. And Jack Grealish, who the nation seems to absolutely love, is still at Aston Villa, but not quite to the standard that we are seeing him right now. Now, it must be said, by the way, that I am currently recording this before our quarter-final tie, England's quarter-final tie against the Ukraine on that Saturday. So I didn't even know how far this has come. However, this video is probably coming out after the Euros had finished. So you will know exactly how the Euros have finished. And maybe you can let me know how close this was to actually finishing compared to real life. So if we do take a look at the World Cup, it was won by Germany yet again. So that's 2 on the bounce for them. Very different to the team that I imagine that they have right now. They beat Argentina in the final 2-0. And this was actually a World Cup, and I've just gone back and looked at it, which featured none of the home nations that I can see whatsoever. Nobody from the UK or Ireland managed to qualify for this World Cup. That's insane. So I've simulated the Euros and I could confirm that the top 4 third place teams have gone through the same kind of setup that they have had at this Euros. So the Republic of Ireland have qualified using that. This is just the group stages. Northern Ireland unfortunately missed out despite getting 3 points the same as the Republic of Ireland, but with a -6 goal difference. Scotland unfortunately did not make it through. They lost 3 games in a row, and England qualified second in the group behind Holland, which should be the Netherlands, okay? I'm not going to have this argument, but it should be the Netherlands, and people of the Netherlands get very annoyed whenever I call it Holland. It's the game. Football Manager, you can see that. They are calling you Holland, okay? But they've gone through top of the group on goal difference compared to England. So if we do look at the groups here, England played Switzerland first. They won 3-1. They won Hungary 2-0. And why have they played Switzerland instead of Holland? Now, on to the second round, we can see a few of the big nations have been eliminated. Belgium there being knocked out by Spain. We can see Croatia being knocked out by Ukraine in extra time. England have beaten Switzerland 3-1 to progress. Holland seem to be really good, 4-0 against Romania. France beating Austria, Greece beating Turkey, and Portugal eliminating Italy, who I personally think at this point is favourites to win the Euros in real life before the quarterfinals have been played. Portugal beat them in extra time. Moving on into the quarterfinals then, Portugal have then gone on and eliminated Spain, their biggest rivals I'd say in international football, 3-2. The Netherlands beating Germany after extra time. Ukraine defeating France in the quarterfinals. You love to see it. It's kind of the same thing as what happened this time, but with Switzerland instead in real life. And England, in a very tough game against Greece, beat them 4-3 to put themselves into the semis. And the semi-finals look like this, and I can't help but thinking somehow England have had a very easy run into the final. They have beaten Ukraine 1-0. Portugal have defeated the Netherlands, so it is a Portugal versus England final. How is that going to go down? Before we take a look at that game, let's take a look at this Portuguese side and see if Cristiano Ronaldo is still playing. He is not. He is not playing for them. They have players like Bernardo Silva, who is at Manchester United. We have Renato Sanchez, of course. I think at this point, he was going to be one of the best players in the world. There he is, world-class midfielder, because after those Euros, everybody went crazy for Renato Sanchez, and he was just one of the best wonder kids on the game. So that's great to see. We can see a few very familiar faces, and to be honest, from what I've seen of the Portuguese national team, it looked very similar to what they actually had in real life. And in the final of the Euros, England have defeated Portugal 1-0 after extra time. Jesse Lingard with the goal in the 95th minute. Oh, well, that's in extra time after Jordan Rossiter was sent off after a second yellow in the 89th minute. He comes off the bench and then gets himself sent off. So very lucky there from England. I think Andre Silva is one of their best players as a striker. Obviously, he features in this one. He was injured in the 22nd minute, so they were struggling straight away there. They had to bring on Diogo Jota up front instead. Not a bad replacement if you're going by today's standards. But we can see England, they were pretty much dominated, I'd say, 26 shots, and they still managed to keep a clean sheet. At this point, I don't want to jinx it, I want to touch wood, but we've kept the clean sheet before I've seen any of the other matches, and we've been very similar to this. We've been really good defensively. I mean, player of the match, Luke Shaw. He has been outstanding up to this point in the Euros. I don't want to say it's an omen, but maybe this might continue. Have I jinxed it? I probably have. The only name I don't recognise, and it is a regen I've checked before, but I don't want to click because it takes ages to reload, is Dale Driver. The rest of the team is the usual players that you would see. Jack Butland is in the starting 11 at a Euros final. How some of these careers have changed. Nathaniel Klein, who is at Liverpool. We have John Stones, of course, he is actually playing and should play in the final if we ever get there. Phil Jones is in the final team. I mean, I know Harry Maguire is in that kind of slot now and next to John Stones, but Phil Jones, back then, they thought he was going to be something special. Luke Shaw, we know all about, and somehow he is still really good on this game. Dele Alli and Jack Wilshere was kind of what we were pinning our hopes on back then, in what 5 years' time would have been like. Marcus Rashford, of course, at the start of the game is only 18, and he is still bloody good. We can see on the bench is Carl Walker, Tammy Abraham is there, Danny Rose, Adam Lallana, all of these players who were once touted to be the next best players in the world find themselves on the bench in Football Manager 2017, and in real life they're nowhere near ever getting picked for England again. Now I know you might all be curious, so we're going to have a look at some of these players and see what they're all about. Kylian Mbappe, 21 years of age, we can see playing for Monaco. He has only made 3 caps at this point, whereas in real life he's actually made like stupid amounts and scored a lot of goals. We have Kai Havertz, he's actually in the team, but he's not made any caps for Germany yet. 21 years of age, playing at Bayer Leverkusen. But as you go down down the list, there's not a lot under 21 who are playing in real life and have made it into the game and been really good. Martin Odegaard there playing for PSG, Alexander Isak playing for Manchester United, Donnarumma. There's not a lot of those really popular names that we know about in real life. So there we have it. That is what the Euros are predicted in Football Manager 2017. Was it anywhere close? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoy some flashback from old Football Managers, let me know. And let me know if there's any kind of simulation you'd like to see in the future down in the comments. See you soon. Bye-bye.